What's up everyone, Darcblade here with another Hunter's Guide to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. In this video, we're going to be bringing you an endgame build, this time for the light bowgun. But what is an endgame build? Well, as always, it's a build that is set up to take on the endgame activities of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. It's constructed from the rarest armor, decorations, and even Krios crafting. Although when it comes to the Krios crafting, I haven't gone too heavy on it, so the skills and upgrades should still be obtainable. Now, as always, if you find these videos helpful, informative, or even entertaining, please consider subscribing to the channel as well as leaving a like on the video, as it does help and allows me to bring you more builds for a variety of different playstyles. Now, when it comes to the light bowgun, it is one of the most efficient weapons in the game. Whilst it may not be as flashy as some other weapons out there, it can take on pretty much any task it's given with relative ease. That being said, with the bowguns, I tend to focus on one specific ammo type when it comes to the builds, rather than spreading myself too thin by trying to use multiple different ammo types. So with that, I present to you the rapid fire piercing light bowgun build. This build is all about dealing damage with the rapid fire piercing ammunition, and this means that it can bring down monsters incredibly quickly from distance. So for this build, you'll need the Rogi Helm X, the Archfiend Armor Baulo, the Jaggy Gauntlets X, Rathalos Coil X, and the Silver Soul Greaves. For your Petalace, this is down to personal preference. I'd recommend the Absolute Petalace for some extra health, but you can also go for the Demon Petalace if you want some extra damage. As for the Talisman, this is going to be tricky as not everyone will have access to the same Talisman, but if you can get a Talisman that has at least Pierce up level 2 on it, then you should be able to construct something similar to what is shown here. As for my weapon, I'm using the Vigil Cudgel, which is the Malzeno light bowgun. An alternative would be the Naga Kuga light bowgun, as they share similar properties when it comes to rapid fire piercing ammo level 2. They have similar clip sizes, recoil, reload speed, so on and so forth. Anyway, as for the Krios crafting on the weapon, I've simply gone for a Rampage slot upgrade, and when it comes to the actual Rampage skill itself, go for one of the anti-species decorations. So when it comes to the decorations, you have a few optional ones here. For example, Jumping Jaws, to give some points into Evade Extender. This is optional, you can drop this if you want. I've then gone for Absorber Jaws. You need to have at least 3 Absorber Jaws to max out recoil down. I've then gone for Attack Jaws to get attack to at least level 4. I've then gone for Critical Jaws to max out Crit Boost, Tenderizer Jaws to max out Weakness Exploit, some Quick Load Jaws to get at least 2 points in reload speed. You don't really need to go higher than this in all honesty. I've then gone for a Pierce Jaw to max out Pierce up, Mighty Jaws to max out Maximum Might, and then a Spirit Bird Core Jaw to give us a point in the Spirit Bird Core skill. But this again is an optional one. So if you've done what I've done here, you'll have a build with a raw attack of 420. You'll also have 30% base affinity, which can be 80% when you take into account both weakness exploit and maximum might, and you have a decent defense of 744 that is strong against fire but unfortunately weak to the other elements. As for the switch skills, these are down to personal preference in all honesty, depending on how you like to play the light bowgun. Anyway, when it comes to the skills, first of all you'll have attack boost at level 7. This may be lower for you depending on what talismans you have available to you. Attack boost is a skill that increases the raw attack of a build, and at level 4 or above it provides us a percentage bonus to our raw attack. You'll then have critical boost at level 3, increasing the damage of our critical hits, but only applies to the raw portion of an attack, not the elemental or element portion, but this is a raw attack build, so this is very useful. You then have Weakness Exploit at level 3, increasing our affinity rating whenever we're attacking monster weak points. You'll then have Maximum Might at level 3, which is a skill that whenever we have full stamina, will gain increased affinity. You'll then have Pierce Up at level 3, increasing the damage of piercing ammunition, one of our main DPS skills for this build. You'll then have Recoil Down at level 3. You need this really at level 3 to reduce the recoil of the rapid fire piercing ammo level 2, so it becomes more controllable. Anyway, you'll then have Rapid Fire at level 3, increasing the damage of rapid fire ammunition. You'll then have Windproof at level 3, a byproduct of the armor we're using but negates all wind effects against our hunter. You'll then have Evade Extender at level 3. This is a byproduct to be honest, and you don't really have to go for it at level 3 if you don't want to. Evade Extender is a useful quality of life and defensive skill that increases the distance at which we dodge and evade. This is probably going to be our main defensive skill with this build. Well, that and the fact that we can keep our distance from a monster. Anyway, you'll then have Reload Speed at level 2. You only really need this at level 2 to have the quickest reload speed. You'll then have Spirit Bird Call at level 1, which is a useful quality of life skill and result of our decorations. Spirit Bird Call is a skill that, throughout the duration of hunt, random Spirit Birds will come to our hunter, granting us their bonus. So we don't always have to go out of our way to look for Spirit Birds, they will come to us. But the next few skills, bar 1, are kind of byproducts. Next up is Resentment at level 1, which is a skill that whenever we have red health on our health bar, grants us an increase to our raw attack. You'll then have Earplugs at level 1, negating minor monster roars. You have Wirebug Whisperer at level 1, which extends the duration at which we can keep additional wirebugs on this build. You'll then have Redirection at level 1, which is a skill that when you perfectly perform a switch skill swap, just as a monster attacks you, you'll take reduced damage and negate the damage reaction. And then finally, the useful skill at this bunch is Chain Crit. Continuously landing attacks gradually increases the attack and elemental attack of your build. So the more aggressive we are, the more we continuously attack a monster, the more our damage will increase. So there we have it, those are all the skills for the rapid fire piercing like Bowgun build. But let's quickly talk about the Krios crafting. Now like I said, the Krios crafting with these endgame builds isn't to the extent where they're completely unobtainable, as in they don't really feature all the armor pieces with crit boost or weakness exploit or attack boost, those rare skills. There may be one or two in the builds, but for the most part I mainly focus on going for decoration upgrades or extra decoration slots to allow you more customization with your builds. So when it comes to the Rogi Helm X, the Krios crafting, I managed to get a point in rapid fire up. This is very handy. To be honest though, if you can't get this, having a tier 3 decoration slot added to this will produce the same results. With the Archfiend armor, I got an additional tier 1 decoration slot. With the Jaggy gauntlets, I got a tier 2 decoration slot upgrade and an additional tier 1 decoration slot, as well as a point in earplugs, but this is a byproduct, it's not really needed to be honest. With the Rathalos coil, I got an additional tier 1 decoration slot, as well as the Spiritbird core skill and Wirebug Whisperer, and with the Silver Soul Greaves, I got a tier 3 decoration slot upgrade. But every build out there, even these endgame ones, have various positives and negatives, pros and cons. When it comes to this rapid fire piercing like Bowgun build, its biggest pro is its damage output, able to bring down monsters quickly, especially if they have multiple hit zones. On top of that, this build can be used against pretty much any monster it comes across, as it's an elementalist build, meaning that we don't have to worry about a monster's elemental or element resistances. And then finally for the pros is that this build is actually not too difficult to craft in all honesty. You can change out decoration, swap the talisman here and there if you want to, and come out with a similar build. But of course there are cons. One of the biggest cons for this build, well, any build that relies on piercing ammunition, is that it doesn't work too well against very small monsters with few hit zones, such as Rajang and the other fanged beasts. And the other con is, once again, as we are using a light Bowgun build and we're lacking certain skills like a spare shot, it means that during a hunt you'll have to craft ammo during the actual fight via your radial menu, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. But regardless, if you're looking for an effective build that utilises rapid fire piercing ammunition, I'd strongly recommend this one. If you're going up against monsters like Mitsuzune, Almudron, or even standard sized monsters like Rathian and Rathalos, this build can bring them down exceedingly quickly. But what are your thoughts? Please leave a comment down below, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you another endgame build, this time for the light Bowgun in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.